relationship trauma. We're always talking about getting into a relationship, getting out of the relationship, gisting girls, what you should do in the relationship. But nobody ever talks about the trauma. The trauma that is sustained when a relationship ends, okay? When you date somebody you think is the love of your life and then they do you absolutely dirty, and now you're in a space where you're wondering, should I move on? Are all men like this? And then you get on social media and you find somebody saying, oh, it rains everywhere, men are the same everywhere, oh, women are the same, women are just after your money. So there's just a lot of trauma that goes on, especially if you're coming out of a terrible situation or you've had a bad breakup. And some of these traumas can manifest as trust issues. Because me, I won't trust you. Tutaka talking stage kama 6 years because fool me once, shame on me.
Shame on me.
Yeah. Fool me twice.
Shame. Fool me once, shame on you.
Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And me, I don't want to feel shame. So what am I going to do? I am going to not trust you. You say you love me, I say, are you sure? You say you like me, I say, I don't think you do. You say you're beautiful, I say, you're lying. You're just like other men. You want to lie to me so that I can fall in love with you. So trust issues can be as a result of past relationship trauma.
You know that song, Nisiko Shuwa Nawe? Nawe is the same. Because this person is trying to be intimate with you. They're trying to become emotionally connected with you. They're trying to become, physically connected with you. But you're like, siko sure. Todo, unakumbuka when you were sure, when somebody, ingratiated themselves into your life and you became so connected.
And you had not asked them.
You had not. They integrated and your lives were woven together in intimate love and affection and emotion and all of these beautiful things, and then they were just like, okay, deuces, and you now are trying to think of the fact that you're going to open yourself up to someone else for them to be like, deuces again. It's a lie. So you find it difficult for you to form bonds, and whenever you find yourself getting close to someone, getting intimate with someone, either physically or even emotionally, you start to withdraw, you start to self-sabotage, you start to find excuses to get out of this relationship simply because you're traumatized and scarred from the past experience, and therefore it becomes quite a challenge. That is a huge intimacy. Hey, I'm talking me, my ex used to touch me like that. I don't like kids. It's important. It's very, you guys laugh, but it's serious. It's very serious. Somebody tries to do something and you're like, in fact, you smell like my ex. The same thing, we laugh, but the Dior Savage, Savage by Dior. Every time you smell that, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you are triggered. You're very much truly worried the other day. I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, what is that perfume?
What's that? I got that all of a sudden.
Suddenly, and it's perfume. So now imagine somebody touching you, somebody trying to get connected with you. You are going to run.
And another sign of trauma is how vigilant you stay. Vigilant avatar, Air Force, Airbender. Unakanga tu nini hiyo, looking for a red flag, because your last relationship ulizihata sana. Ulihata hizi red flag because naka pink. So now uko rada mbaya. He does something small, you're like, leave me. It's okay. Let us break up, tuachane. You don't even give it space. You call him, he doesn't pick. Osema, ako na mutu. Niwache, please. Don't call me again. And you're hyper vigilant because you're really trying to save yourself.
Yes.
And I was telling somebody the other day that it's all about self-preservation.
It is.
Your brain is wired, or you as a person, you are wired to always look out for
Number one.
That is why heroes are a big thing. They're doing heroic things. They're doing things for other people in spite of themselves. So now because of self-preservation, uko like, apana, mimi sitaki. Akitembea hivi funny, asema, apana, I don't like that walk. You've seen people saying there's a smile that women beaters have.
Yep. That's trauma.
You start looking for that smile in everyone, and maybe he just smiles like that. So hypervigilance is a sign to be
intrusive thoughts. I just gave you an example. Turi was wearing perfume and immediately I felt tumbo maji. Another one is you're just walking around that place, unona building, uko like, oh, lo, uku ndio tulifanya sijui nini. You're like, you don't want to use that path. Have you ever met someone someone who doesn't particularly use a specific road, simply because every time they use that road, they're just triggered. And she's laughing because you had this exact conversation yesterday. As literally, you're driving somewhere, it's coincidental. It has nothing to do with nothing. But the moment unapitia hiyo barabara, unasikia tu, oh, kijasho chembams. Kijasho chembams. Kimetoka kwenye utosi mpaka from the nape of your neck to the calves of your feet.
I had anxiety.
You know, you're feeling heat. You're like, why am I hot? You know, and it's just passing through a road. You know, like it gets to a point where even a specific kind of car you cannot get into, because when you see that car, you remember your traumatic experience with your ex. Like there are you will avoid like a plague. There are foods you will not eat simply because maybe he used to cook for you this very nice food. Maybe she used to cook for you this very nice food. Now they've ruined it. You can never eat that food ever again. These intrusive thoughts can be very, very daunting for a person who's experiencing trauma and is healing from the trauma. In fact, trauma in general, it's like, it's a trigger. It really is a trigger.
And also, we always talk about how people are nonchalant. I don't want a nonchalant man. I want to have a chalant. Wait until, because of your trauma, you become the nonchalant woman. You become the nonchalant man because you just want to be numb from all the emotions.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel all giddy and excited about anything because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I am waiting for something to happen. I am waiting for you to find somebody else and for you to fall in love with your colleague. For you, you know, all those small triggers, you're just waiting for the shoe to drop so that you can confirm to yourself, yeah, that's why you don't get excited about, oh, I'm in love, oh I like this person, oh, it's we're going on a date. You just don't want all of that because consequences.
Do you remember the story we were talking about earlier, the TikTok that we saw about the woman who was making snacks for his, so the husband had his friends over to their house, and she'd gone off to the kitchen to bring them snacks or to make them snacks. And while she was in the kitchen, something happened. But I've gone ahead of myself. Now, according to her, she says she's never thought she's that beautiful. But her husband kept saying it to her over and over and over again, to the point where it felt like she was the hottest thing on this green earth. Like, you are the hottest commodity on this green earth of the Lord. You were brought to this earth to sufferish men and women alike. As in, you are just the most beautiful, gorgeous thing that has ever existed. And so her husband had gotten her to that point. Now let's go back to, she's going to the kitchen to bring snacks. The husband is in the living room with his friends. And as she's coming back, she overheard something. She overheard the friends being very mean about how they said this. Because they're like, how do you even get yourself ready to sleep with that cow? Like, you know, sasa iki ulioa aje, uliona hapa ndio utakubali. So she's coming back in to bring them snacks, and they are talking smack about her to her husband. And she felt like her heart sink right to the bottom because her husband did not disagree with them. So suddenly she felt like, okay, maybe I was right the whole time. This man has been lying to me the whole time. He's just with me for convenience or for whatever. Now, those things can happen quite a lot. When you've gone through a traumatizing situation, your self-esteem is short. It's literally in the ground. And I know we say self-esteem because it's supposed to be yourself, giving yourself esteem, but like honestly, it feels like sometimes there's so many external factors that can contribute to your self-esteem either being high or low. And unfortunately, if you've gone through any form of trauma, especially trauma in relationships, you are so unsure of yourself. You are constantly looking behind your back. You're constantly paranoid about things. You know, sometimes you even hear things that are not even true. You know, you're like, people are just talking their own stories. You assume they're talking about you. There is something about it that can be a huge trigger, especially if you've gone through a traumatic relationship. So look out for that as well.
And with traumatic relationships, when you've been treated badly for so long, even after you've left that relationship, sometimes you kind of get into the same patterns and into the same cycles of abuse and trauma and mistreatment, not because you're a horrible, foolish person, but simply because that feels familiar. You know, respect and common courtesy really doesn't feel, you know, like it's normal. So all of this just feels very familiar territory. When somebody is treating you badly, it feels kind of normal.
It
When
does.
somebody is doing you dirty, it feels kind of normal. And you fall into the same patterns, which is very unfortunate. Break the cycles.
Absolutely. And I think as we are winding up, there's only like 2 more to go. So we have like physical symptoms. I don't know whether it's just me, but like I think it's clearly it's a thing that happens quite a bit. Have you ever been with someone and when you broke up with them, you find yourself having like other issues, like ulcers whenever you think of them? You're feeling like actual burning gastrointestinal
Actual
issues,
pain.
like headaches and migraines. Just those things are now part of you simply because you were in this really horrible situation. You can't sleep, you can't eat, or you eat too much. Like you have actual manifestations of this psychological trauma that you're going through, and it is manifesting itself physically. Quite honestly, nasinzia nikikuwaza, that should be it. As in ukimfikiria unasikia kulala, you're so happy and content, you are just getting sleepy and giddy and chubby. Anything other than that, child, oh, I'm so sorry. And the only way to cure it, unfortunately, is through it. Like you have to figure out how to now, get better sleep patterns, like get better, I don't know, friends around you and support to rally you so you're able to like feel the USA of it all. And that will take time.
And also sometimes even your circle of friends change, your social behavior changes. Once very extroverted person suddenly becomes very introverted.
Yep,
and you're like, where's this change coming from? Maybe because somebody told you you're too loud one too many times and you kind of believe that. Or a very introverted person who was very quiet and very kept to themselves suddenly becomes the life of the party, an alcoholic, they're everywhere, they're outside all the time. And you're like, okay, that's different. Is it coming from a good place or is it coming from you not wanting to deal with other things? So if you find or you realize that there are very drastic changes in your social behavior, it's time to sit down and be like, hey, what's happening?
What's the trigger?
What's going on right now? But we need to go home. I told you it's Saturday. They are literally kicking us out of here because everyone wants to go out and perambulate. Do you have a final sentiment?
Yeah, if you're going through any of these things, you've gone through relationship trauma, try and find a supportive group of friends, try and find therapy. It's very important for you to learn how to deal with it so you don't return yourself back to the patterns. And most importantly, know that you're not alone. And if you feel like you're in this state and you want to talk to someone, hit us up on our socials at Kathomi, at Turife, and we will try and help you as best we can. See
Bye
ya.
bye. Have a lovely weekend.